Okay, so for Matlab, Matlab is what is Matlab? It's a high-level language and interactive environment for numerical computation, plotting, and programming. So actually, engineers, mathematicians, biologists, scientists, and like data analysts all use this software. Why is that useful? Because can do numerical simulations, statistics, and plotting. Um, right. So if you make sure you download Matlab as soon as possible if you don't have it. Um, so for here, uh, Matlab have several important sections here. So first thing is the command window. We have several windows here. First thing is command window. So command window is it's very nice actually. Like you can type in a equals 10 here, and then it has a equals 10. And if you type like something like this, display like hello world, it displays hello world, right? I guess Jacob's question was like, maybe you did something on command window, but we will suggest you guys to use the M file. So Matlab, when you have very short code like a equals 10, then you can like, or you can calculate 1 plus 2. Yeah, like those short programming or coding, you can directly make that in command window. But if you have a longer code like this, you have like multiple lines of that, it's not very easy to do it here. So we will suggest you guys to create an M file and then do it in the M file, like you can run here. If you click run, you will get the result you want. So this is the command window and the M file. Another thing is this workspace, right? So let me do first, if I clear all the stuff. Clear is to clear all the workspace, and CLC is to clear the things in command window. If we do a equals 10. So before we do anything, like there's no parameters or name or values in workspace, right? But if we do a equals 10, then we have a variable called a here, and the value is 10. So the workspace can keep track of all the variables you created, and like even the intermediate variables you have in your code. So this is a way to, this is a very good, important or useful place to find what you like the result especially when you are debugging, right? What else? This is also like this is a current folder. Of course, like you save your files created into this folder. Another thing important is like help. So like I said, when you code, it's abnormal if you don't need any help or you don't make any bugs. So how do we do that? Like if you don't know how to use for, you can directly help for here. And there will be some instructions about how to use for. For is basically a repeat statement, a specific number of times, and the general form of a for statement is like this, blah, blah, blah. Another way to use help is you can click home, and there's your help here, right? So if you click any of them, you can type in the things you want. Or you can directly Google, right? So you can directly Google for in Matlab. What else? So this is the basic things in Matlab. We will be using like the command window, M file, and this workspace again and again and again. So because this is coding needs a lot of practice, okay? Okay, so this is the basic introduction of the course logistics and this Matlab environment or software. Then I'd like to talk about some examples. First, I need to stop. Before that, do you have any question about this course and like the Matlab things? Okay, let me. Where's my Zoom? Oh. Okay, so here I found my Zoom. Where's manage participants? Yeah, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. So everyone now, can you try to raise your hand? Do you know how to raise your hand in Zoom? Okay, I saw Benjamin. Nice. Okay, I see some people raising your hand now. Nice. So I'm trying to make this discussion session interactive. Although it's online, I know it's kind of hard, but I like you guys to participate in this. So yeah, in the following, I will talk about some problems, and if you guys want to talk about your thoughts and like the answers, you can raise your hand after. Yeah, we'll figure it out how to do that. Let me share this one. Okay, here we go. Where's my screen? I hope this one is the right screen. Chat. Okay, so we have. So let's look at this slides first. So throughout this course, we will be dealing with Matlab. That's used extensively in higher level engineering courses, and it's also used widely in industry. Okay, so first let's give a quiz or like a poll. So what's your level of programming language and experience? A is substantial, like took a course and use it in a project, and B is adequate, like learn on yourself. C is like nothing. Can you guys type your answer in the group chat? Okay. Yeah, I see. I think half of us are adequate. Like maybe you have some slight background about that, and some of us are non-existent, but that's totally fine. So okay, because we will help you guys, or we will try to make you understand how to what's the logistic, or what's the things we need to think about in coding for this course. And this is an introduction to programming basically. And Matlab is actually a nice language because it's a high level. Like all the code you write is kind of user friendly, and like you can kind of comparatively easier to understand the code compared with like C or Java. So how to study for this course? I like this slide very much because it said programming is a skill, and you definitely need to practice and practice and practice, and always you will make mistakes. And it's abnormal if you never have write a bug. So some people keep like jokes about like programmers. Actually, most of programmers are making or writing bugs every day. So yeah, bugs are like the mistakes you made when you code. This is inevitable and important for you to learn this. So just make sure to spend like more time on practicing it if you wanna really like make use of it. Okay, so let's directly go to some examples and test whether we can raise your hand and like people can get more interactive about this. First is about matrix multiplication. Let's say A is this, B is the A and B are two matrices, and what's the result of A multiply B? Still, yeah, let's type the answer you think into the group chat. And also, please raise your hand if you want to talk about why you make your answer like that. Okay, I saw one. Can I unmute you? Okay, so Rajveer, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Nice. Yeah. So do you like to talk about like your thoughts on this problem?
Yeah, sure. Well, the thing is that all it is for me is that you have to like multiply the first row of A by the first column and each term individually.
Mm-hmm.
And the matrix B is like an identity matrix. So I just know that I multiply 1 by 1 and I get 1. I multiply 2 by 0 and I get 0. I multiply 3 by 0 and I get 0, and I add those terms.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first term of the matrix. And then I did that for all 3 rows, and then I got the answer to be A.
So what's your answer? Sorry.
A.
A is your answer.
Yes.
Why do you think A is your answer? Before that, so has everyone already put your answer into the group chat? Okay, nice. I saw. So, Rajveer, you think A is the answer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone who has like different opinions over that, please raise your hand if you. Yeah, I'll lower your hand. Okay, because okay, I'll find whether someone else want to talk about this one. Mm-hmm. Hello. Any volunteers? I saw a lot of you have different opinions. Is there someone who wants to talk about why? So how many of you have never took like linear algebra? Let me see. Let me think about how to make this better. So Rajveer, can you unmute yourself again?
Yeah, sure.
So you think A is the right answer. So have you like taken linear algebra or like vector?
Yeah, I have. I think I just made like I was just made a stupid mistake. It's actually V, because I didn't like add all the terms correctly. I was just confused myself.
Oh yeah. I think you explained it right. So
I did.
This, but like maybe you didn't.
I didn't think it through. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I think that's cool. All right, cool. Thank you. All right. So like Redbeard said, we when we do matrix multiplication, we treat the first row like basically it's not like element wise. It's not element wise multiplication, right? So if we what we do is the result in the first element, the first row and first column element of this result comes from the first row of A and the first columns of B, and then we do the vector multiplication. Basically, it's like one multiply 1 plus 2 multiply 0 plus 3 multiply 0, and then we got 1. And for this one, it comes from 1, 2, 3 multiply 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 0. So it's 2, right? And actually, the choice of A comes from when we do element-wise multiplication. So the answer is B. Okay, so let's do another one. How about this one? How about matrix multiplication 2? If A is this and B is this. So please, again, please put your answer into the chat, group chat. And if you want to talk about the reason or your thoughts, please raise your hand so everyone can hear you. Okay, so I saw everyone is making the right answer. So the answer is B, right? Because similarly, if we do like this row, B has only one column. Basically, we always use this column and we do like multiple rows of vector multiplication and we get B. Final one for matrix multiplication. So let's say A is like 3 by 3 matrix and B is the 1 by 3 matrix. What's the output of A multiply B? Perfect. I think no one makes, everyone makes the right choice. So it's a undefined because if we want to do a matrix multiplication, the number of columns of A should be equals the number of rows in B, but that's not the case here, so we cannot do that, which will be undefined. Okay, cool. So let's move on. So this question is trying to test you guys whether you have a what's the sense of your like coding, how you feel about coding. So the code is about A is 10, and then A is A plus 1, and B is A minus 1. Then what's the value of B? So Steve, yeah, please type your answer in the group chat. Yeah, perfect. I think everyone is so proficient in this, right? Because everyone is making the correct answer. Right, so when the first line is we assign 10 to A, and the second line is so in Matlab or in almost every coding language, programming language, we have this assign. So equal sign is assign, and the left hand side of equal is the variable name, and the right hand side of it is the value. So basically, this means we assign 10 to this variable. And one important thing when we create a variable is we try to create something meaningful, right? So we will talk about that later, but keep in mind that whenever you do some programming, you try to make the variables like have some real meanings, like sum or like result, right? So it can help others and yourself to understand, I mean, your future self. Because like maybe sometime you will go back to look at your code. If the variable is like a mess, you even don't understand what you're doing. So yeah, so that's very important to keep in mind. And for the second line, it's A equals A plus 1. So it's still a sign, right? So the left hand side is the variable A, and the right hand side is like we assign the value of this to this variable. So after this line, it becomes 11. Similarly, so for the third line, we have b equals 11 minus 10, 1, which will be 10. So the answer is B. So for starters, like maybe this line is straightforward. It's kind of strange, right? Because mathematically, this doesn't sounds very correct, but you have to think of this as a sign. So the left-hand side is the variable, and the right-hand side of it is the actual value to be assigned to this variable. Okay, so let's move on. If statement. Right. So for this code, it's for coding. I think we have several important things. One, the first thing is definitely if statement because we will use it again and again, almost in every code. Right. So for still, A is 10, and if A is less than 20, B is this, and else is this. So what's the value of B? Please give me answer in the chat window. Perfect. So it's B, right? Because 10 is smaller than 20, so B should be 2 times 10, which will be 20. Okay. Then we talk about for loop. Yeah, this is what I mean by a meaningful variable. So here we're trying to get something, get some result from sum, and so this is called initialization because when you wanna do a sum, you need to initialize something like a variable to record the the result, right? You can also call this result. I think that also makes sense, but it doesn't make sense if you put like apple or like banana. So for this example, we are trying to do a for loop here. This is the for loop, and each time we in programming we call this iteration. Basically, like we do the same or similar stuff again and again, right? So for this example, it's like J start from 1 and ends at 3, and the step is 1 because that's a default step. And every time we add this guy to the result, so what's the value of sum when the loop has completed? Everyone, put your answer in the group chat. Right. So it's B. Yeah, I think everyone is perfect on those questions. Is it too simple or like why? Anyone wants to talk about why you never make a mistake? Okay, so the answer is 14 because we go through this 3 times. The first time sum becomes 1, and then it becomes 5, and then it becomes 14 because 1 plus 4 plus 9. Okay, let's move on. For loop. How about this one? I'll give you guys 1 minute to think about this. Think carefully. This is not. Yeah, if you know the answer, you can type it in the group chat, and if you wanna talk about it, just raise your hand, or you can directly unmute yourself and talk about it, and see how it goes. Okay, yeah, cool. I see. I see many of you guys choose the right choice. Can you explain what the column means? That means just not to display the current result. If you have it, then it will. Let's say, okay, let me let me type in an example here. So first, let me stop share this and share screen of Matlab. So when you do this, when you do a like a equals 1 with a column, then there's nothing here, right? If you do a minus 1 here, it will show a minus 1. So the only difference is like this. Actually, it's not a huge thing, but when your code is very long, you don't want to see this again and again, right? Then you add a column here. Let me go back to the yeah, this is kind of annoying. Every time I can only share one screen. I cannot share multiple screens at a time. Okay, so for loop. Yes, the correct answer is A because they start from -1. Oh, start from -1 and ends at -50. So it's 50 times. If you yeah. And how about this one? When we change this -1 to 1, how about this one? Yeah, some small tips for this coronavirus. I hope everyone is okay and safe. But you can basically what we can do now is to drink more water and eat healthier and like sleep healthier. I mean, because this is quite weird. I mean, I came from China and like we I think China has almost controlled it for now, but I mean it took a lot of efforts there. And I saw from the news today maybe like the U.S. government is trying to advise people from the CDC website to like wear a mask because actually I mean I don't know because China did that and they kind of succeeded in containing the virus spreading. So just make sure to keep the social distance and wear a mask if you have it, right? If you have it, why don't you wear it? And and also I think try not to party and try to isolate yourself, do a quarantine. We will get through it. Okay, so for loop. Right, so the correct answer is B because if we have a step like this, we can never meet the requirements. So the answer is B. Okay, nested for loop. So we have talked about like a single for loop, right? So a nested for loop is like when we have another for loop within a for loop. This is what a nested for loop is. And like for this one, we have two nested for loops, right? And yeah, I think you guys have a lot of knowledge over there. So why don't you guys directly tell me like what's the answer for this? Nested for loop? How many this thing is displayed? Yeah, please give me please type the answer in the group chat if you have it. Yeah, and if you want to talk about, just unmute yourself because it seems not a lot of people are willing to talk about this. Nice, yeah. So the answer is 55. The reason is so for this for nested for loop, we have for the outer loop we have like five. We will do this for 5 iterations, and for the inner loop we have 11 iterations, and the 55 comes from 5 multiply 11. Oh, Hendrik, you think it's 50? Sorry. Do you want to talk about why? Okay, let me unmute. Okay. Hi.
Hi there.
Hi. Nice. Yeah. I like different opinions. Yeah.
I thought it was A because like 10 through 50 in increments of 10. I thought that would be like it would show up 40 times, and then from 0 to 1 in increments of 0.1, it'll show up 10 times. So that's why 40 plus 10 is 50. That's what I thought.
Sorry. You think the outer loop is 5 or?
For 10 through 50, I thought it'll show up 40 times. And then for B from 0 to 1, in increments of 0.1, it'll show up 10 times. So that's why I said A.
So you said 10 to 50 is 40 times?
Yeah.
But there is a step here, right? So like this is a start and this is the end, right? And this
Yeah.
is the step. So step means like every time you increase by 10, then like the actual value of A comes from like 10, 20, 30, 45, 50. So
Oh,
like
okay.
there will be 5 iterations there.
Right.
And similarly for B, it becomes from like 0, 0.1, 0.2, and to 1. So there will be 11 values for B and 5 values for A.
Oh, and then you just multiplied them.
Right, because like for each value of A, it will iterate 11 times in B because this is the nested for loop.
Okay, I get it.
Okay, awesome. Cool, thank you. I like your opinion. Can lower your hand. All right. Next is nested visualization. So nested for loop visualization. Okay, let's go back to the. I think our our section ends at 10:50, but we can go back to the Matlab for like a discrete example. Example for 4. Let me share my screen. Where is my screen? Computer. Okay, so this is a example here. So we also have a nested for loop, and let's directly run it. Okay, so whenever we have a M file, we can run here and see we can get a result. Oh, why is this figure 2? Where's figure 1? You guys see the figure or not? Okay, I think, but never mind. We can directly look at the code. I can share the, okay. So the, where's the, so this is the figure we run, the outcome of our code, right? So basically it's a circle and there's a square here. And let's go back to the code. This is annoying. Okay, so for the code, it's like we have like 2 nested for loops here. And if the square of this is smaller than 100, actually this is the formula for a circle. You don't have to understand each line of this. This is just to show, trying to show like how we, the function of a MATLAB, like what MATLAB can do for us, right? It can, so we can get beautiful figures from it, like when we do some scientific research and like do some data analysis. Yeah, so they're actually like when you see the fancy figure, but actually the code for it is not so long. We are still using like the for loops and if statement, if else, and then we will talk about this figure in the I think we will talk about the figure in the later lectures. All right, cool.